Hello and welcome. My name is Meepolis, they, she, he, and this is Literally Graphic. And what we are looking at today is the first 4 volumes of Something is Killing the Children by James Tynion IV, Werther, Dell'Edera, Miguel Muerto, and World Design on Letters. According to my Hoopla app, this series is rated M or PA. I think the former was for the collected volumes and the latter was applied to the single issues. Content notes for graphic violence, child trauma, monsters, and secret societies. Moving along to the creative team, to be honest, I am not really up on hip new things, and James Tynion IV wasn't really on my radar as anything more than a name, I said in TBR videos and immediately forgot, until a week and a half ago when I wrote up my review of Flight of the Prince, Wind, #1. Putting together his biography for this video, he is apparently very prolific, and at least somewhat successful. Plus, Flight of the Prince, it was also very good in my opinion, so you can probably look forward to some more of his stuff around here in the weeks, months, or years to come. Go back to that initial thoughts video for a full bio though. Looking at his profile on Cadence, a comic art series artist, Werther Dell'Edera, quote, is an Italian artist born in the south of Italy. He has worked for the biggest publishers in both Italy and the US, with his work ranging from Loveless to the graphic novel Spider-Man Family Business. He has also worked for Image, IDW, Dynamite, and Dark Horse. In Italy, he has drawn Sergio Bonelli's Dylan Dog and The Crow Memento Mori, for which he has won awards for Best Cover Artist, Best Series, and Best Artist. End quote. Looking at colorer Miguel Muerto Rodriguez's website, quote, 27 years old, surviving in Barcelona. I used to draw sad people smoking, but nowadays I only color comics for Boom Studios, Vault, DC, IDW. I no longer run a small press with friends, but you can buy my last zine here. End quote. Keywords that came to mind reading this first story arc: children, family, death, monsters, anti-hero, nightmare, supernatural, blood, and guts. The synopsis of Volume 1 over on Goodreads is, quote, when children began to go missing in the town of Archer's Peak, all hope seems lost until a mysterious woman arrives to reveal that terrifying creatures are behind the chaos, and that she alone will destroy them, no matter the cost. It's the monsters who should be afraid. When the children of Archer's Peak, a sleepy town in the heart of America, begin to go missing, everything seems hopeless. Most children never return, but the ones that do have terrible stories, impossible details of terrifying creatures that live in the shadows. Their only hope of finding and eliminating the threat is the arrival of a mysterious stranger, one who believes the children, and claims to be the only one who sees what they can see. Her name is Erica Slaughter. She kills monsters. That is all she does, and she bears the cost because it must be done. End quote. Reflecting for a moment before diving into the opinions part of this review, I will admit that I was kind of avoiding this series. I kind of go back and forth on being a horror fan, and right now in particular, I've been largely avoiding it because consuming horror content is not my preferred way to deal with the overwhelming horror of the world around me, although I gather that is the appeal for many big horror fans in my life. The title just seemed too clickbaity to me, and being surrounded by so much death, I just figured it was for the best if our paths never crossed. There are, after all, so many comics at my library, let alone in the world, for me to read. Ultimately, what changed my mind was its inclusion by our friends over at Realms of Comics Book Club. Something is Killing the Children is their pick for July, so I figured I would give it a try, and it has proven to be rather interesting. Looking at the artwork first, it's a bit sketchy, but personally I do feel like it reflects the mood of the story pretty well. And when a comic is going to include such gory high points, I do prefer it not to be too realistic. The color scheme is also very good in my opinion, often a bit on the darker side. It still manages to tell a story and provide a high level of contrast. Story and writing wise, as I've already mentioned, I did end up finding the whole thing rather intriguing. That said, it felt like a pretty slow start, followed by at least one dramatic jump to start outlining the backstory, only to jump forward again in a completely different direction. Although that last point was, unbeknownst to me at the time of reading, due to the fact that issue 21 is in fact the first in a new story arc. There's also apparently a relatively recent spin-off series entitled House of Slaughter. So this definitely feels like just the start of things. Further along than I generally go for initial thoughts, but certainly something that could go a lot further. Sandman similarly has a lot of sidetracks and jumps in it, so I'm not too terribly concerned. Obviously not a Vertigo title. I couldn't help but compare Something is Killing the Children to Vertigo just a little bit, as that is the brand of adult horror comic that I have read the most of, both past and presently. Frankly, looking back as I write this review, I was a bit surprised by the lack of nudity and or edgy sexuality. Not unpleasantly surprised, but that has come to seem to be what people around those parts see as making a comic mature. End comparison. Looking at the different points of identity that I try to cover in each review, race, gender, and sexuality do not play a very important part of the story arc so far, although a fair amount of diversity is signaled to visually. Although nothing overtly queer so far, at least as far as I could tell. House of Slaughter does fall under the LGBT tag on Goodreads, so it seems like it has/will come up as things continue on. Class and ability/disability similarly felt perhaps a bit hinted at, although even less so, but who knows what the future holds. So far, it's been a very world-building sort of story, with the only consistent character being the still rather mysterious Erica Slaughter, hints of chosen family, and playing with the childhood struggles of not being believed at least half the time, and having no autonomy. Recognizable elements and tropes are at play here, but that doesn't mean they cannot be rearranged and juxtapositioned in new and interesting ways. If originality even exists, I feel like it is incredibly overrated. To conclude, I feel like this series so far is swimming between 3 and 4 stars, so I guess I'll try and be a bit optimistic and go with 4 stars so far. Bye y'all, keep reading and organized to end capitalist oppression. And as always, Literally Graphic is created on land that should be given back to the traditional landholders, which in this case is, to my knowledge, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, Anishinaabe people, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat Nation.